Ahoy there mateys, and welcome back to another video here on my channel. Today in Windrose I'm going to show you exactly how to build this little shop. I built it here right next to my marketplace using mostly some of the stone and plaster materials, which looks quite nice, a little bit more of a fancy building, and I turned it into a shop. For me it's a flower shop. Very piratey, I know, but just a lot of nice flower decorations in the game. But of course you can turn this shop into anything you want, or just use it as your base with a workshop down below and your bed, etc. up at the top. Yeah, it was quite fun playing around with some of the different building plans, and I think it's quite a nice result in the end. So first I'll show you a little tour of the place itself before we dive into how to build this one for yourself. But as always, if you enjoy seeing these Windrose builds and you want to continue to see more, make sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and feel free to leave your suggestions for future builds down in the comments below. And as you can see, my pirate town keeps growing, so if there's any other builds you'd like to see videos of, check the channel because there's quite a few guides so far. So yeah, here we go. We have the little shop with yeah, some nice windows on all the sides, using some different materials, different roof types, etc. to most of the builds that I've done so far, which was quite fun to play around with. And I just wanted a smaller little shop that I could add here at the end of my docks, just to start filling in these gaps. And especially here from the angle from the little marketplace that I have over here, I think it blends in very, very well. I also have some of these flower beds that I've made with the fertile soil. I just need to plant some things in there, but I think that's going to also be a pretty nice addition to kind of liven up the place a little bit. And then you can see I added a bunch of different flowers here and plants because, well, that is what this shop is going to be for, since there's so many cool versions of those. So you can see inside we have plenty of plants, and this is where of course you would be buying the plants if you want some. And yeah, just a cozy little space in here with those beautiful windows. But there's actually also a way up to the top that we can take, and we get into a cozy little house here with a nice table serving some food, decorations all around us in the well, the cupboards there, and also all sorts of little decorations including some ships. Finally unlocked those, and a nice bed here overlooking the rest of the port, which is quite cool. And of course these very cool big windows with some curtains, just trying to make this as cozy as possible. So it's nothing too major, but if you, well, clear out the plants, you can definitely have a few crafting stations in here if you're just looking for like a small house to use. But if you're also working on a pirate town and you need a few extra buildings, this is a nice and simple addition that you can whip up in no time. Okay, so I'm going to be building a little shop here, and I think I'm going to make it 4 wide right here, and then on this side it's probably going to be about like 8, I think is a pretty decent length. And then of course I want to start just filling that foundation in so that I have that building here. I think that's going to be a pretty decent shape. I'll also take out some pillars, and I want to have a pillar here that's 4 high. I'm gonna just connect it back to the ground because I don't know if I'll have any buildings next to it. I also want to have pillars going up here, and then I want to use these as the walls, I think. There we go. And then we can actually make a nice entrance here. So I want to use these arches as some kind of entrance, because it's kind of like a shop, so you can go in and, you know, you can browse the goods, etc. That's the idea of this building. Then in front of this, I think we want to have some of these cool pillars, so I'm just gonna snap them one apart, and then we're gonna raise them up by a little bit too. There we go. And then we can have these nice tops to it, which should give us a pretty nice shape. Then if I take out the roofs, I think we have these very, very shallow ones that hopefully will work. I think that meets up with the top of those pillars so we can have the perfect, very shallow start here of the building. There we go. That should be perfect like that, because it kind of matches up with the building on the front there as well as with those pillars. So just gives us a very shallow entrance, and at least for me this shop is going to be like a flower shop, I think, even though that's not very piratey, but we have all of these amazing flowers, so I just want to have a bunch of them right here in place. But of course you can turn it into any kind of shop or building you want to. Then I think we'll take out these pillars again and also raise up these on the back corners, because, well, we'll definitely want to have something going on over there. Then for our walls, I think we just want to start with filling in these sides, or the corners at least, with a normal wall going up like that. Then next to it, I actually want to have some of these smaller wall pieces, just so that we can fit in some windows. And I think we're going to go for these, either these ones or possibly, I think those ones are probably the best option here, which will give us some pretty nice windows that blend in quite nicely to the walls themselves. Then we can, I think, just continue with filling in these walls a little bit more, just like that. And then once again we can have these smaller walls in between for the middle part, and just fill in all of those. And I think then we can have some of these bigger windows. I think those will also work quite well within that frame. Gives us a few different sized windows, but enough to get in some like natural light and views of our surroundings. And then here along the side, along the bottom, we can actually use, well, this piece, which is like the arch beam, just to give it a nice detail along the side, especially if the sides are exposed like this. I think that is gonna work quite well, just to give ourselves a little edge there. And I think I'm also gonna do this across the back over here. For the back, I think I'm just gonna fill most of that in so that we can use that to place like a staircase against. I think that's gonna be quite nice over there. So yeah, if we take out some stairs, potentially we could, I guess, take out some more of these more fancy stairs, since this is a bit of a fancier building anyway. And then we can raise it up to this layer right over here, where of course we would want to add in our floors. So we can just start filling in this shape for now, just so that we have that next layer available. Fill it in all the way around here. And of course then we're gonna want to have some kind of building here, or some kind of like supports around the staircase to make sure that it all looks nice. So we'll start out with those. Then for the staircase, I think we should be able to use these ones and just snap them here along the sides so that we have a nice railing going on there. And then of course around the edge here, we also want to make sure that we fill in these railings. They're slightly higher though than those pillars, which is kind of annoying, I guess. Oh, we have some special ones that we could use. We might as well switch those out. I haven't really built a lot with these fancier materials, but yeah, that will give us access to the top of the building, which can then be like the well, the living space of whoever owns the shop. Then here around the sides, we want to take out these mahogany beams, and we're actually going to use them as some details here to add. So every other wall, or every wall, we're going to just have these kind of supports jutting out from the side of the building. And this is just to help to make the building a little bit less flat. So we're just going to add these in every step. And I think I'm also going to do it here at the back because we don't have anything going on over there. And I think that's just going to help set these apart a little bit more than they currently are, which will definitely help. So for this top layer, I think we're going to have to switch to this material here, the plaster material, just because then it should match up quite well with some of these bigger structures. So this fancy window, for example, should blend in perfectly with those structures. So that means that for the rest of this wall, we can just kind of fill it all in as normal. And then, of course, these smaller walls will go all around it to make it line up perfectly. So, yeah, we have those nice big windows right here in the middle. But I definitely want to have some of those along the sides too. So I think those places are going to be windows. So more windows right over here. And then I think we can fill in a lot of the rest of this wall with our normal wall pieces. So yeah, if we kind of just blend in these, that should already get it started quite well. And then the same for this one, just kind of filling it all in, raising this all up, and then we should be able to take out our windows and place them in here. Of course, always want to check if they actually open the right way so that you know if you place them the right way around, because it's kind of annoying if they open to the inside. And then of course above here we just want to have those small walls as is. And I think here at the back we're actually just going to do the same thing. We're just going to make another window frame here. So I'm going to just line it up in the middle before we fill in the remaining walls just as is. So yeah, we can fill in those sides, and then of course adding in another big window there. There we go. Let's see. Nope, that opens the wrong way, so we want to flip that around. There we go, and now it should be all good. So yeah, we have a bunch of these nice big windows, which are definitely going to help set this building apart a little bit. Well, it's already standing apart a little bit just because it is a very different build style, of course. I think we're going to bring in a little bit of the wood textures because I think they are quite nice. So I'm just going to have those mahogany pillars or columns, as they're called, coming down along the corners just to kind of frame the building up a little bit more. And I want to do the same thing over here. And then of course on the opposite side we'll do the same thing once more. And I think we need something to kind of signal the divide between these two layers. So we're just going to add these arch beams all the way across the side on this layer too, just to make sure that you can really have a nice transition from one to the other. And then here we actually want to add in a few of these extra pillars. I think that just kind of adds a little bit more shape to the side of these buildings, which I think definitely will help. So I'm just going to raise up these between the windows. And here at the back, we don't really need it, but we might as well add in a few just to add a little bit of extra interest. And also over here, we want to have those arch beams to signal the dividing line between the two layers of the building. So I think for the roof itself, it's going to be relatively simple here. I just want to have those come up from the side, and then of course from the opposite side it's going to be just another two of those coming up like that. And then there's even these well, these little eaves that I can add along the side of the building, I think, so that there is a little bit of an overhang. So I definitely think that is something we probably want to do to make it less flat on the sides. And then here along the front, I think I need to raise this up by just these small walls a little bit, so I can have this one in the middle and those ones along the side, just to kind of change it up a little bit. I want to go for a different type of building here. Then we can have a few more of those and then top them off like that. I think that's going to be quite nice. I probably want to have something on here. I don't know if we have something that fits this kind of style. I don't think an animal head fits this very well. And I also don't really think that this fits this necessarily. So I don't think we have anything to put onto the walls at this moment, unfortunately. But maybe it's not too bad to just keep it as is. And then, of course, for the roof itself, it's going to be relatively simple. Like, it's just bringing this all the way along. And then at the bottom, of course, we also want to make sure that we add in this little detail. I think we can just kind of jump onto the roof. I think we're going to expand that by just one. I think on the back of the building, we are just going to have a little overhang. So yeah, we just want to fill in the rest of the roof here. And then at the very edge, we can have a small overhang over there. And I think we can do the same thing here for the other side. We can start filling in the roof all the way across like this at those final pieces. And then, of course, along the edge is where we want to have those small pieces just like that, so that we can just at least fill in the entirety of our roof itself, which I think makes for quite a nice building. It's a little bit more unique compared to the current style that I have, but I think it's time to blend in a few buildings with different styles for sure. I wish we had some kind of like banners or something that we could have on the sides, or like flags that we could attach to the walls, etc. And then, of course, here on the inside, we still need to kind of fill in the back of the building a little bit. So we'll have those in place and then just kind of follow the shape of the building here at the back. Shouldn't be too much work, and that makes for a very simple but I think still quite nice looking little shop with a little area right in front of it where you can have some goods stored out. And yeah, it just combines a little bit more of the stone textures into a nice building. It helps here for the side of my little marketplace. Probably gonna have to fill in the gaps in between that, but yeah, quite happy with the results. So yeah, fairly simple build, but I still think it looks pretty nice. So hopefully you enjoyed a quick little build tutorial on yeah, a little shop building for your own pirate town. As always, if you enjoy seeing these types of videos and you want to continue to see more, make sure to like the video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and feel free to leave your suggestions for future builds you'd really like to see down in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.